friends, and welcome to the Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. Every week, I invite a girlfriend to join me on the show, and we chat about the big things in life, the little things in life, and everything in between. I want to thank today's sponsor, Milk and Honey. Milk and Honey Tees is a small, home-based business designing t-shirts that are as stylish as they are comfortable. Their high-quality products come from ethical producers and are never made in a sweatshop. They then add their one-of-a-kind designs, resulting in tees, tanks, and sweatshirts that you will love wearing to show off your personal style. Milk and Honey creates t-shirts that you're going to wear dressed up for dinner or to a happy hour with your girlfriends, might I add, rather than just with your sweats on the couch. Go to milkandhoneytees.etsy.com to check out all of Milk and Honey's Simply Stylish tees. This month, use the code HAPPYHOUR at checkout services, and they're going to give you 15% off your purchase. That's a good little discount, Milk and Honey Tees. Thank you. So follow them on Instagram as well, because you're going to see some great sales and promotions, and you're going to get to just browse all their amazing products. They're Milk and Honey Tees on Instagram, and that is Milk and Honey Tees, TEES.etsy.com. So follow them over there. Thank you, Milk and Honey, for loving the happy hour and for sponsoring this show. I love my Milk and Honey t-shirts. Guys, today you're listening to episode number 71, the second show of the new year, and I promise I won't keep saying that for every show, but today's episode 71, and today's guest is Korie Robertson. Now, you probably know Korie from her family from Duck Dynasty. She is married to Willie. And as great as her family is in the show, it was really great to get some unfiltered conversation with her on so many different topics. I was so excited to get to talk to her and loved our conversation about adoption, parenting, foster care, the filming of their show Duck Dynasty, plus lots more. Korie has a new book out called Strong and Kind that I highly recommend you get your hands on if you can. In our conversation, this is the fun part. In our conversation, there was a part where I felt like I had some breaking news. Like I literally wanted the breaking news, dun dun dun, in the background. She kind of announced something about their family right here on my show. And she even said oh, I haven't told anyone about this, so we'll talk about it. And I felt like this happy hour had arrived with some breaking news. And then y'all, last week I saw on Fox News, they tweeted about it. So let it be said that the breaking news about the Robertson family was said first on the happy hour, but then it released after the news broke. So womp womp, I thought I had some breaking news, but it's already out. Anyhow, you'll know what I'm talking about when you'll hear it, and I hope you giggle because I literally thought I was bringing some breaking news. Guys, if you want to send us a message about anything from the show, we'd love to hear from you. I am at Jamie_Ivey on Twitter, and my name is JAMIE_IVEY, and Korie is at Boss Hog's Wife. We'd love to hear from you guys. Here is my conversation with Korie Robertson. Korie, thanks for coming on the happy hour.
Thanks for having me. I've been so excited to talk to you.
I am so excited, and I must confess before we get going, just to get it out on the table, that we don't have cable.
Okay.
And so I've only seen your show in hotel rooms. I just need to get that out on the table.
That's funny. That's totally acceptable. I promise I will not hold that against you.
You'll still be my friend.
I'll still be your friend.
I was telling someone the other day I was going to talk to you, and they're like, oh my gosh, don't you love their show? And I'm like, we don't have cable, and I've only seen it 4 times, but yes, what I saw, I loved.
It can be a little creepy when people know everything about every episode, so that's all right.
So I'm coming at you with nothing.
Okay.
So that's even better.
Great.
But what I did do is I just read your recent book.
Oh, good.
I know. Strong and Kind? Yes.
Strong and Kind, yes.
About you raising kids.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a, weird thing to write when you're a mom. You don't want to come across I've still got middle schoolers, so it's not like we're done.
You're not at the end. Yeah.
Not like we got this all figured out by any means. So it's kind of I don't want to come across that way at all. But I felt like I had something to say. And, mainly it's really just about the values that you want to instill in your kids. It's not about telling anybody how to do it. It's just about saying, let's all be intentional about the values we want to instill in our kids and what kind of adults we want to have in this world. And you got to start young if you want to, bring them up to be the adults that have those type of values that you want to see in them.
Yeah, I can see how that writing a parenting book would be hard while you're in the middle of it, because you don't want to come across as hey, we're amazing, so
exactly,
do what we do.
That's the last thing.
Right. But just hey, here's some of the things that we value.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people ask me a lot because they see our kids on TV, and I think from the beginning of when Duck Dynasty first started, all of a sudden they see kids who are respectful of their grandparents. And it's not that there's not millions of kids out there that are like that. It's just that you don't see it a lot on TV.
Exactly, right.
You see the, kids that are just like rolling their eyes and talking back to parents and out partying and drinking, around. Because that
makes good reality TV, right?
TV, that's right. Good characters. But so whenever ours came out and you actually saw kids that were, respectful and part of the family and all that, people were like, oh.
And it wasn't like you're just like, hey, guys, y'all got to act this way when the camera crew's here. It was like their real life.
Right. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the very first, I'll never forget this very first season, we did an episode where we were going to have this family football game, and Phil took the kids out and made them, clean up the yard. And he didn't tell them what it was for. And so the film crew totally expected them to be, griping and complaining, and all that. And so, and then they weren't. They were like, yes, sir, and cleaned up, And then the director was like, wouldn't you be, mad if your granddad made you do this? And they were like, no. He was like, well, what if he, wouldn't you, don't you think he would, not want to? And they're like, no, if Papa told us to do it, we would do it. They're like, we don't really know what you're getting at here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just natural, and then people reacted to it. So people started asking me, oh,
what do you do? I know people are listening. They're like, can we send our kids to Robertson Boot Camp over the summer and have them come back strong and kind?
Sure, send them on.
Okay, so I want to hear, how long has Duck Dynasty been on the air?
Only 3 years.
Okay.
It's crazy.
It seems like a lot longer than that.
I know. It feels like a lot longer than that to us, too, because it just kind of seems part of our life. But no, 2012 was...
Wow, I did not realize that, Korie. I thought you were going to tell me, we're in, our 8th season.
Yeah, well, we are. We just
okay.
finished filming our 100th episode.
Oh, my gosh. So y'all film a lot then, if it's only been 3 years.
Right. We film, 9 months out of the year. So, and we take off for hunting season, of
course.
And Christmas.
Which every other wife that their husband is a hunter, they're like, our whole family stops during hunting season.
Right. Yeah. Everybody who has a hunter in the family understands that. We take off for hunting season. But then when I talk to people in New York or LA, I'm like, oh, we take off for the holidays.
They're not used to that, I'm sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so you're raising kids, being a mom, being on TV, writing books, all this kind of stuff. So you've been doing Duck Dynasty for 3 years. 10 years ago, so your oldest would have been, is your oldest 20 or?
Yeah, John Luke's 20.
So 10 years ago, would you ever have thought this is what you'll be doing?
Never. Absolutely not. I need to think about what I was doing 10 years ago. Probably.
Well, how old is Will?
Will is 14.
So you had a 4-year-old.
13.
A
yeah,
3-year-old.
I had little ones. Yeah, and that was when we actually, so I was working as a children's minister at the church whenever, and Willie was a youth minister, college minister, whenever John Luke and Sadie were little. And then I had Will and Bella, so all of a sudden I had 4, under the age of 6 years old, and I was trying to be the children's minister.
And you're I actually need to be children's minister at my own house.
Exactly. It was crazy town. I was running all over the church trying to drop off, and then I'd get in the car after church, and I'd be like the gripey mom,
Sure, yeah.
We just got done with church. Everybody's shut up. I'm tired. Yeah. I need a nap. So at that point, we had just started running the Duck Commander, duckcommander.com out of our house too. So that was starting to grow and build a little bit, and we were answering emails, answering phone calls in the middle of the night because people would order and didn't know this was our house,
right.
And our phone line was our house line, for duckcommander.com. So we were doing that too, and I had just quit doing children's ministry and just went more full time, mom, and help running the duckcommander.com from our house. So that was happening 10 years ago. Yeah,
that's so crazy. And now I appreciate something. One thing you told me in the message that you sent me was you were talking about how you wish you could tell, or one things you want to tell yourself, or if you could tell yourself a long time ago. So live in the moment, mm-hmm. and take where you are and enjoy that. And right. I don't know if this is still, I'm sure this is a struggle for you. It's a struggle for me as well, especially as a mom too. And not just a mom, but you have a career, I have a career, us moms that are we want to do stuff, and we want to parent well, and we want to work well, and we want to love people well, and we want to be a good wife. And I'm sometimes find myself looking into well, what will that look like in 10 years? instead of like, what did it look like today, Jamie, to be like all of those things. That's so hard.
It is so hard. I think especially like as women and moms, because we want to be, we want to be good parents. We want to be intentional about all that. But also we have dreams and goals and ideas about things that we really want to do. And so when we try to do it all at once, then everybody loses. We get stressed. Our kids, feel that stress. Our husband's like, I never see you,
Yeah.
And so I think for me, always trying to remember, I'll never forget hearing the quote, and it said, like, you can be everything you want to be, just not all at once. I was like, okay, that just gave me peace that, like, okay, I got a lot of years ahead of me. I don't have to, like, start the nonprofit and go to Ethiopia. And, like, I'd always wanted to go to Africa, and I just went this last year to Ethiopia. But I'm 42. Like, for the last, 20 years of my life, I'm like, I really want to go to Africa, but it just never felt like the right time because I have little kids at home and this is happening, So once I kind of gave myself to that, I was like, okay, I can do all these things. I can be all these things. But right now, this is what this is about, and this is what this time is about. And it just helped me to kind of be content where I am.
That's what it is, contentment. And I think that's so good because I struggle with that still. But I remember when I had young babies at home and you just feel like your life only consists of diapers and bottles and everything baby. You feel as though I'll never do anything different. And you will. That's why I always tell young moms, I'm like, you will. This season will pass. And then you'll have bigger kid issues, which are sometimes harder.
Yeah, there'll be other things, but yes, I do. I remember feeling that way and just kind of and I think a lot of times we get in that, it's like, okay, God, is this all there is? Like, is this it, what is going to be the rest of my life? Even in times when your marriage is not as great as it, as you want it to be, our kids are, going through struggles, you just feel like, okay, God, is this it? And then if you think about your life as a whole, no, it's not. And you look at, my grandmother is 84 years old. She just retired from real estate. But what's so interesting is she did not work she was a stay-at-home mom exclusively throughout all of she had 6 children. All of my mom, all of her children's life, stay-at-home mom, didn't start working till after they were all grown and out. Then started in the real estate business with my granddad. My granddad passed away. She took over his business and it's been Realtor of the Year, been honored, and just at 84, retired. Yeah. In the meantime, she's lived in 5 different states. She was a cheerleader in the Marine Corps. She, all these cool things she got to do in her life that I'm sure she never imagined when she had 6 babies.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just a good reminder that, this season is what it is, and then you move into the next one, and then you move into the next one, and that's just how it goes.
Right.
Okay, so you really have 5 kids.
Yes.
Can you explain, because I don't know if you've done this on the show, but I already told you I haven't seen it. Can you explain the foreign exchange student that never went home? Because I did not know that. I've always assumed that you had 2 children through adoption.
Okay, I can explain that.
Can you explain it to me?
It's really confusing because there are a lot of us, so it is really confusing. So whenever we had 4 little babies, and one of my kind of values in life is travel. I've always felt like it's so important for our kids to see other cultures and realize this world is a lot bigger than this little small town that we might live in, you know? And so I always wanted our kids to travel and experience different things. But, when you've got 4 little ones, budget is limited. You can't do that.
And your sanity is limited. I mean, let's be honest.
You can't just pick up and take, to Europe, So I was like, okay, why don't we bring in a foreign exchange student? And I had all these dreams, we'll learn another language. We'll we'll be so multicultural. We'll have all this great experience. So Rebecca, we chose Rebecca. She's from Taiwan. Her mom just wrote a really sweet note about her that, and they were a Christian family and all this. So we chose her online, and she came to live with us for the year. And it was so much fun, but it was hard because she's not speak a lick of English when she got here. Gosh. I mean, she had taken English in school, but whenever it's like us taking Spanish.
Oh yeah, I took Spanish 4 years, and I can ask where the bathroom is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she got off the plane, and we were all of our kids, because they're so excited to see her. They're 2 to 6, or maybe John 7, 2 to 7, and they're blah, 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 And Rebecca's going, I mean, she looked like a deer in headlights. She's scared to death, you know? And so she just really attached herself to me. I mean, when I took her to school that first day, I had to like pry her fingers off my arm because somehow we found a way to communicate, you know? So anyway, I read to her that whole year, just like I was reading to our younger kids at night, and just really bonded. And by the end of that year, we were like, she just kind of felt like ours, you know, and we said, if you want to come back for your senior year, you're welcome to. She said, okay. She wanted to. She went back home and she called, like, Mom said I could come back. So she came back, and now she's 27, has been with us ever since.
Okay, wait, time out.
She's just became ours.
That is so crazy. She came twice.
She came twice. She came her junior year and then her senior year. Okay. And her senior year was when we kind of like realized like she's never leaving, like got her social security card, like started thinking about college. And it was at one point with the kids, someone asked me and I said I had 4 kids, and one of our, I can't remember if it was Will or one of them said, no, we have 5. And I was like, you're right, you know, because she does have a mom in Taiwan. So I really have always wanted to honor that. And I'm her American mom, but she has a mom in Taiwan who's been here to visit twice, and she's really sweet, and she's cooked for us amazing, like Taiwanese food when she comes. And so that's how, you know, we're her American family, and she calls us mom and dad. And
I have always, ever since I got your book and I've seen your family online and stuff, I've always wondered, but I never knew that story. That is so crazy. I always think it would be fun to host a foreign exchange student, but I think what holds me back is like, just, that would be it's so hard, like you said.
It was at first. The first semester was, because we did, you know, I had to help her order at restaurants.
Everything.
Read to her, help her in school and all that, and I had little ones. So it was a little hard, but it was so much fun. And, you know, of course, it all paid off.
I know, right? Yeah.
And Sadie can rap in Chinese and can sing the climb in Chinese. So,
that's worth it all. That's worth it all, yeah. Okay, speaking of Sadie, she's just, all of your kids are beautiful, and I follow her on social media and you as well, and it's been fun to see her like turn into this woman with a voice. I'm sure as a mom that you are so proud of what she's had some amazing opportunities that have come to her, and the way she's handled them seem very graceful as just a complete outsider looking in. She seems like she's handling it very well. What are you doing to keep all of your kids, because y'all been 3 years of a TV family and have that going for you, and then Sadie stepped down and doing all kinds of other stuff. How do you try to keep your kids grounded through all that?
Well, I think from the very beginning we talked about, we're like, this is not about us. Like, there's no part, this is about God and giving him the glory. And so any like success or fame or opportunities we have is for that. Is for that good. And so, you know, even in filming, if like one of the kids films more or one doesn't, you know, there's never been any weirdness or jealousy or anything about that, because we've made that very clear. Like, this is a television show, we are doing it, but it's really not about us. It's about God and his glory. So that's something we talked about from the very beginning a lot. And then we just have, you know, we're doing it as a family. So that's been really fun and nice. I think that's a big difference than if just like one person in the family goes out and the whole family dynamics change, because everything has to revolve around that person. And that is I think that's a really hard position for young people to be in, you know?
Jen told me when her and Brandon did their show that like it bonded them together. Like them doing that together, it really like bonded their marriage a little bit. So I think that, I like what you said, that it brings you all together as a family. It really did. I mean, for all of us, for the whole extended Robertson family and our family specifically too, it did, because you're together. You're supposed to be together a lot because you're filming, and a lot of times when you're filming, you're waiting around a lot. It's something I realized I struggled with when we started filming, because they got to set up the cameras and the lights and all the stuff. You got to put a mic on, so you're just sitting around waiting a lot. So it's time to just kind of like and talk, and it's a fun experience in that regard. Has there ever been a time when they filmed something and then afterwards you're like, I really didn't like the way that went down? We really haven't. You know, we get to see the rough cuts, and so that, you know, we can make comments if we do feel anything. But there really has never been anything that we have been, you know, said we don't like. There's the one thing that I made them take off, and this was Cy, because Cy does, you know, when you do your interviews
like they'll ask you a question, you answer, and then you would assume that like, they're going to cut it. Well, he like was picking his nose and they left that in. Like he answered a question, then he's like, and they left that in. And I was like, no, that's just rude.
Because he didn't know you were filming still.
He wasn't like, it wasn't like he realized he was on camera. It was like in the middle of an interview, It's like, that's like laughing at him rather than laughing with him, So I made them take that out.
Oh, that's good. There's a big distinction between laughing at someone and laughing with them.
Exactly, yeah. And, tried down the show. We hope everybody, realize like we totally can laugh at ourselves. We do not take ourselves too seriously. If you see the show, you know that. So, yeah, please laugh along with us. But, I don't want to be,
you don't be laughed at.
Yeah.
I saw recently, and you told me about this as well, about Sadie getting a tattoo.
Yes.
So she's 18.
She's 18, and she has she's been talking about it for a while. She one thing that I think Sadie has helped Sadie in her life, and we kind of like were talking about introspectively the other day about like because people say like, how is Sadie so mature and everything? But one thing about Sadie is she is really good at talking about everything. Like if she has a problem, she will tell everybody. She'll just say it. Like she's not shy about it. As a matter of fact, when she was on Dancing with the Stars, because there's cameras rolling 24/7. It's like all like at Duck Dynasty, you kind of like know but there it's all the time.
They kind of clip it together and make it what it is.
Okay. They will follow you down hallways. They will follow you in the bathroom. Like it is with you all the time. And she did tons of interviews, and I was like, oh god, because she'll say it. She says everything. She does not have a filter about that. But what's good about that is she allows other people in her life to help her with her problems because she does struggle with it. So she's honest about it. She's not like she struggles with anxiety and she doesn't tell anybody.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, so anxiety has been one of her things. She's always been my worrier. If she, has something, she's Googling it and thinking she's got cancer, She is that kid. When she was little, she was scared of like tornadoes, which we never had.
Right.
Yeah, but she's scared of tornadoes. She's always had that. And she had an incident recently where she was on a plane and she just kind of had like an anxiety attack. And she got off and ran off the plane before it took off. And she called me crying.
Oh, the plane never took off.
The plane had not taken off yet. It was she was waiting, and she just kind of got freaked out and called me. It was like, Mom, So we really talked about fear and whether like how God is not about fear, and God doesn't put fear in your life, and God is a spirit of power and strength. And so if you feel that fear, it's not God, So anyway, she wanted to get the tattoo that said fearless, and Willie and I were all for it. And so she posted about it, and the comments, it was just driving me crazy.
Where did she get the tattoo? Where is it?
On her wrist.
On her wrist. Okay, yeah.
Little tiny fearless.
Super cute.
And it's beautiful. It's very, it's really, really nice. So anyway, I was saying in the thing that some of the comments, I try not to be bothered by, social media comments, but there were a few on this one that just,
Oh, I got my first tattoo when I was 18. I have 3 now. But I did not do that in the public eye of America, so I can understand how that might be difficult. Oh. Guys, before we get back to Korie and I's conversation, I want to thank another sponsor for the show. The sponsor is Prep Dish, and Prep Dish is a healthy subscription-based meal planning service. So guys, I know it's 2016, we're kicking off a new year, many of you are exercising, you've got like 14 days of exercising in, you've got 14 days of meal planning. Well, this is something that can really help you. Each week, you're going to receive an email that contains 2 things, a grocery list and instructions for prepping your meals ahead of time. And then, after about 2 to 3 hours of meal prep, whenever you want, Sunday afternoon, Saturday morning, Monday after the kids go to school, you have meals ready for the rest of the week. So not only is this an amazing time saver, but it's also a great way to kick off your healthy eating in 2016. All the meals are made with real food, nothing processed, and when you subscribe, you have the option of choosing gluten-free, dairy-free, or paleo meals. Guys, this is a really, really great help to us women as we're trying to plan healthy meals for our family. Allison, who's a chef, she's offering the listeners of the Happy Hour a special rate of $4 for the first month. Did you hear that? $4. It's $1 a week for a meal plan. Go to prepdish.com/happyhour. prepdish.com/happy hour, and it's good for a $4 trial. That's literally $1 a meal plan for a week. Guys, this will really change your world, and you can thank me later. Thank you, Prep Dish, for sponsoring the happy hour. prepdish.com/happy hour. Here is my conversation again with Korie. Okay, so I want to talk to you about adoption. I'm an adopted mom. 3 of my kids came to us through adoption, 2 from Haiti and 1 domestic. And so your son that you adopted, Will, was that a domestic adoption?
It was,
Okay.
yes.
From birth?
Yeah, we got him at 5 weeks old.
Okay.
He was with the foster family for 5 weeks. But we, Willie and I had as soon as we started dating, we said we want to adopt someday. I had a teacher in high school that adopted, and he was just very passionate and just, was talking to us the whole time about this is our, duty as Christians. It's the act of true religion, so take care of orphans and widows. And I just knew that that's what I wanted to do, and talked to Willie, and he was like absolutely on board from the beginning. So yeah, it was just one of those crazy, miraculous experiences. We found out about Will and got him within like a week.
That is crazy. I hear stories like that all the time, and it is just so crazy.
It really was.
When we adopted our son, his name is Deacon, we were chosen by the birth mom, and then we had about, I think we got chosen in October, and he was born in November. So we had like a month of waiting. And then we were there when he was born, and then he kind of go into interim care for paperwork and stuff. You know how that goes. And then he came home like 2 weeks later. I mean, it was just like,
Aww.
It was so crazy to just show up at a hospital and you see a baby, and then like you take him home. It was really,
Right.
yeah.
I know. Sadie, one of her teachers, I remember had taken him to school to show everybody, and she was in preschool. She was so excited. And one of her teachers told me that they said, can I just take him home with me? Just picking with Sadie. She was like, oh, you just can go to Baton Rouge and get one. Like, that's all you do.
Oh gosh, the kids.
After having like 9 months of pregnancy with my other 2, I was like, this is the way to go.
That's what Sadie saw. She's like, yeah, you can.
Exactly.
The other night I was laying in bed with my son Deacon, and I don't remember what we were talking about, but I said something. I always tell my kids how proud I am I get to be their mom. Like, even we have 1 biological. I'm like, even that God let me be your mom. I'm just so excited about that. And so I think we were talking about that, and I asked him something about being adopted, because I try to talk about these things. I want open conversation, because I don't want, them to grow up and be 20 and hate their lives. Well, they might, I don't know, but you know what I mean? But I asked him, I said, is it ever weird, being adopted? And he said, sometimes in my class, it feels different.
Aww.
And he said, and this happened like 2 years ago, but he still says this every time. And he says, and when we talk about like where we came from, I don't know what to say, and I don't know if I should put like American Indian, because that's what you are, but that's not what I am. It was just this like really sweet but sobering conversation to me about the realities of what our kids might face. Have you had those conversations with Will? And
that's a great conversation. Yeah, we do. We talk about it a lot. And you know what's interesting, because we adopted Will when he was 5 weeks old, and so he's ours. You don't think like how biological, have adopted. You don't think anything different about it. Then when Duck Dynasty came out, and everybody's like, "What? Who's that?" Like, because he looks different. He's biracial, And then you're like, "Oh yeah, this is something I should probably really talk about, because it is so important to our family." And of course, I encourage everybody I know, like, you should adopt. I'm like always talking about it personally. But then whenever people see it on TV, it's like, oh yeah, because you just think of them all as yours and the same. It's
right.
not weird at all. Yeah.
So have y'all discussed that on the show?
We did. We did an episode where we talked about how he came into our family and all that, because we were just getting so many questions, And Will was very proud. He loved it. He loves his story. He's always, when he was little, he'd be like, "Mom, show him the pictures of the day you got me." He loves to tell the story about where he was born and how we got him. And now he's 14, so now, he doesn't talk about that as much anymore.
Because he's 14.
Right, because he's 14. But when he was younger, it was so cute. He just loved every aspect of his story.
Oh.
And I remember one day he asked me, he was like, "Mom, what?" Because ours was a closed adoption, so we didn't. So he said, "Mom, what's the name of your friend who gave me to you?" And I was so cute. It was like, "Your friend who gave me to you." I just love that he said that, because he just, saw her as my friend
Yeah.
because who would give me someone
Right.
that was my friend? So it was just so neat. And we talk a lot about, adoption and what that means and how, how honored and blessed we are and how thankful we are to his birth mother that she chose us. And it's just amazing. And then we got pregnant with Bella like literally 3 weeks after we got Will.
Are you serious?
Yes. So it just was, to us, it was just one of those like divine things you see, like God placed him in our home. He closed my womb until he placed Will in our home because Will was, ours, and then opened it to have Bella. It's just amazing.
So they're like 10 months apart.
They're 10 months apart. Yes. Uh-huh.
How fun was that?
I know. It was crazy town.
I'm sure it was.
It was. I was like, hardly remember those first years because Will wasn't even walking when Bella was born, so I had like 2 on my hip at church trying to be the children's minister. I was like this.
That is so funny.
So they both like kind of came into the world thinking they like could do it all themselves. They were that kind of kid. My mom was like, if you left them for a week, they could survive.
They're gonna make it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. We just recently, sometimes I don't know what things are going to like bother my kids that joined our family via adoption, like what would be weird. And we just found out that my son's birth mom, she's happily married and she's about to have her, second child, but first child in her marriage. And I was telling my son about it and I thought it might be kind of weird to him. He is so proud. I mean, he was like, his eyes lit up and he's like, does that mean I'm going to have like a half brother or sister? And I'm like, yes. He is so proud about that. And I just love that because to me, it made me feel that he felt really secure in both of those things,
I've had a similar thing with Will recently, and that is exactly his reaction. And me too. I was like, okay, he feels secure. He doesn't feel at all threatened or weird by any of it. So I love that too.
That's great.
It's good to see your kids.
So can we talk about what's coming up next in your family? Just vague. I don't know however much you want to talk about, but I'll give you the lead on that.
I talked about it, really a lot. But with you, I felt like I was like, we need to talk about this because this is like
our thing.
So about adoption as well. But yes, we have a new little boy in our family that's been with us.
Already.
We do already. Yes.
Okay, Korie, wait. How does the press not know about this? How have you done this?
It's I don't know. It's just been God's
kudos to y'all.
A level of protection around us, So we've had him since May. He's so sweet. It was another one of those just like moments where you're like, this is right. This is God is placing him in our family. It's just right, And so it's been great. It's been hard, an adjustment. He was an only child, raised by a single dad for a long time and coming into our family of like everybody, and we live in a neighborhood with cousins everywhere. So our house is never quiet.
Right,
it is like kids all the time, all day, every day. So it was a big adjustment, but he just turned 13. So I have 2 13-year-olds and a 14-year-old, 3 middle schoolers right now.
Gosh.
Yeah. And, but they're just doing great. I mean, it's all the adjustments been, up and down of trying to figure out like how this whole family dynamic works and how it fits and all that. But I'm just so thankful. And I just feel like, I've been passionate about adoption for a really long time, but now I'm in this whole like another world of like passionate about older children adoption too. And how, the statistics of there's 115,000 kids in America that are like available in the foster care system to adopt. Like parents have signed away rights. They just need to find a forever family. And I'm just like, 115,000? That's not that many. We should be able to do that. We should have a waiting list. We should have a waiting list just like we have for babies, to take children with this. I get boggled by that sometimes.
No, I love it. And I love hearing about it. So your new family member, did you say boy or girl? I don't want to say. Okay, boy. So is this through the foster system?
It is not. It was, we're, very thankful that he did not have to go in the foster system. His dad passed away and an aunt and uncle had him for a while. And they're older and just, we're looking doing the best they could. They're just amazing and sweet people and doing the best they could to take care of them until they could find them a forever home.
But
And
that is what happens in foster care sometimes, is that it's not, we think a lot, and I mean, granted, I'm not a caseworker or anything, so I don't have like real statistics, but sometimes it is just like life circumstances put these children without families.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, that there's, there's these children, and when they get in that foster care system, there can be a lot of hardship. There's a lot of good people doing foster care. I have some cousins that are doing foster care, and they're just the sweetest, most lovely family, and I'm so thankful there are families like that doing it. But there are some that aren't that great, honestly. And
Yeah.
a lot of times kids get moved around a lot, and it's just a really hard system. And I just feel like the quicker, as soon as those kids are available for adoption, if we can just get them in homes forever, it will just change their lives, And you look at, what happens to them if they don't get adopted. They're 18 years old and they're out on their own.
With
And
nobody.
That's the reality of it. I mean, no one needs to be alone at 18,
No.
They're out on their own, and, the rate of drug abuse and
Homelessness.
Unwanted pregnancy, jail for kids that just don't have homes, don't have families. So that's kind of like my new soapbox.
I love that soapbox, Korie.
And I feel like we, and I've just seen it, how it works, Yeah, there's some struggles, just like, it's hard when you have a baby the first few months of adjusting to having a new baby and all those things. So there's an adjustment with like everything else, but it's so worth it. It's just so worth it.
We have several friends, like close friends, that have adopted through the foster system. And so I always tell people, if you like are thinking about adoption, and international can seem scary and very expensive, and domestic, some people are kind of scared about, there's all these things that kind of like these fears that people have. I always tell people foster to adopt, although there are some challenges that come with it, but there's challenges with everything, like you said. But it's a very practical financial way to adopt and add to your family.
It is. That's the main thing I get whenever I post anything about adoption. I'll get tons of comments, and the main thing I get is like, it's too expensive. I wish I could, but I can't afford it. But foster to adopt, you really can. It's free.
It's practically nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. It takes you going to the training, which is difficult, and I'm not saying that it's an easy process, but it is just so worth it. I just feel like if you ever have had like even an inkling, like, go do it,
At least go find out about it and take some classes. Even in some states, like I don't want to say exactly, but in Texas, I know there's like college funding for kids even after they're adopted.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot of that. And also, even if you're like, okay, I'm not ready to adopt, but you can go into the foster care system and sign up to do like respite care, where you take a baby for a weekend whenever the foster family needs a break or something like that. And that can kind of like get you into that system, a way you can help and you can be a part of kids' lives, give them love for, even if it's for a weekend, and then see where that goes.
Yeah, and that's, foster parents need that greatly, because they can't just leave their, like when I go out of town, I can leave my kids with any friend I want.
Right.
But if you're a foster parent, you can only leave them with people that are certified. So that's a huge need as well. I'm glad you said that.
Yes, it is. I feel like I've like learned a lot about this stuff recently, not just through my experience, but I've got cousins who do it, and Jillian, and we're all involved in this process on different levels. And we've actually just joined the board of the Congressional Coalition for Adoption in DC, and they're just doing amazing work to change laws. And I was up there recently and was able to talk to a lot of kids in foster who had been through foster care and who've had different experiences. One who went all the way through and never got adopted, and her brother's in prison right now, and she's like, he's a good kid. He was a good kid, but he got out on his own at 18 and didn't know what to do. And then others who were adopted at like 16, and how amazing that was for them, and how their life just is forever changed because of that. So,
wow. I mean, if you think about it, I just can't even imagine. Say that you did go to college for some reason, and then you go for Christmas break or for winter break. You have no family.
Where do you go?
I don't even understand that.
Yeah, I know. It breaks your heart.
Oh, that is so crazy. It's just hard to even comprehend.
Yes.
I read a book a couple of years ago called The Middle Mom, and it's by Christine Irwin, and I think she lives in Arkansas, and she's been a foster mom. I mean, it might have been self-published. I mean, it was just this little bitty book that someone told me about, and she lived in Arkansas, and she had fostered several kids, lots and lots of kids. But something I read in there really stood out to me that I've never forgotten. And she said that people all the time would ask her, 'cause she was a foster parent who fostered lots of children. They would say, I could never do that because it would be so hard for me when the kids went back home, because there is turnover in foster care.
Yeah.
And she said in the book, I'll never forget it. She's like, when people say that, I always say to them, are your feelings more important than this child's life?
Right.
And I'm probably paraphrasing a little bit, but that was her point. Her point was just like, are you going to let how you might be sad as an adult
Right.
keep you from like helping a child?
Right.
A 7-year-old. Are your feelings as a 37-year-old woman more important than this 7-year-old? And I have never forgotten that.
I so admire foster families. I mean, because it is a hard thing to do. You do have to be strong, and it is not about you. Like, it is
Right.
100% not about you. It is about that child. And I just really admire families. And we have, like I said, we have not done that. We, with our little boy, he was not in the foster care system, but we did, we've had the experience of an older child, but my roommate from college has had, I don't know how many foster kids, and I just love all her posts, and that's basically what she says too. Like, this is not about you. And I just think we have a family that sits in front of us at church that every Sunday I just thank them and admire them because they've had, they have 5 little girls, 3 they've adopted, and 2 that are still in the foster care system, and they've had them in and out of their home, and it is hard, but it is so worth it. It's these children's lives, you know?
It's like you're laying down just like Jesus said, you're laying down your life for people. Yeah. It's what they're doing. And so I love watching my friends as well. One of my girlfriends is they're having a tough case with their child that they have in their home, and it's just like to watch her persevere through it and be so strong, not for herself, but be strong for that little girl, and advocate for her. They will adopt her in a second if she comes available, but now her job is to advocate for her, and I'm so proud of her, the way she parents her. It's so beautiful to watch.
My cousins have had a baby for 10 months that they just had to pack up to go to an adoptive family. It was a family member. So, they get first priority in the system. And, it was heartbreaking for them because they had that baby for 10 months. And they wanted to adopt him as well. But, they just, God placed him in their home for that time. So he will never know a time when he was not 100% loved and kissed on and adored, through his babyhood. He will never know a time when he wasn't, because they had him for that time, and now he's with a family that will be his forever family. So it just, I can't imagine how hard. She was so hard on them to pack him up, but what they did for him was just priceless.
It is, and like you said, and the thing is, he's always been loved, and he probably won't, remember them.
Yeah.
But we know that God put them there for that purpose and for that reason and for that season, and that they actually did make a huge difference in his life.
Oh, yeah. That will never be doubted, what the difference they made in his life. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have a daughter-in-law.
I do, and it's so much fun. We had the wedding this last, summer. They got married in June.
I saw pictures, and it looked beautiful.
It was beautiful, and it was one of those moments where you're like, God gives good gifts to his children, because their wedding was June 27th in Louisiana.
Which is like hell.
It is. It's horrible. It's so humid. And they wanted an outside wedding at our farm. And I was like, y'all, I want it to be at our farm, but this is like June 27th, and it's always so hot. So we came upon that day. It was a 100% chance of rain, 100%. And we were like, okay, what are we just trying to think of contingency plans, all the while praying that God would not let it rain. But normally I don't pray for selfish things like that. Like, God, don't let it rain.
And we need rain,
There's a lot of other people that, I'm always weird about that.
Yeah.
So, but at that point I was like, all right, this involves more than just me. There's 800 people come to this wedding. So don't let it rain for everybody, not just me. So, but in the meantime, we're preparing our contingency plans, what we're going to do. It was the most beautiful day, not a drop of rain. Like the weather was not, it was like 80, which is unheard of in June.
Right.
Yeah. And it was just beautiful, just this beautiful sunset. I was like, God, I thank you. Like, I just doubt you sometimes. And I think, like, I don't have the faith to say, like, oh, if I say it's not going to, if I ask God for a gift, a blessing, that it's going to happen, like, I'm like asking him, but still planning for what if, And then he just gave us this amazing day. It was
so wonderful.
It was awesome. And they're just doing great.
They look so cute. And I just need you to assure all of us mamas with young boys, my oldest is almost 12, that they're going to grow up and they're going to be okay. Like, I literally, like, I've expressed my fear on this podcast before about my kids dating and then getting married. And I really do know that that is just the way life goes. And actually, I'm going to be so excited about that. But when you have a 12-year-old, the thought of them getting married, it can't register in my brain. Like, I'm like, Caden, he's like a dorky 6th grader. He can't get married. And then next thing I know, he's going to be married.
It happens like that. It is crazy. Yes. He, I remember John Luke at 12. We were laughing at that the other day, thinking about, that 12 and 13, like all their hormones start changing. Yes. And it's such an awkward stage. And John Luke was my kind of like, Sadie he's pretty dorky. Like, Sadie's always had to like help him along in that department. Like, he wore Crocs for like 5 years straight, exclusively Crocs.
That's hilarious.
And Sadie finally was like, John Luke, Crocs are out. You need to wear some different shoes. He was that kind of kid that like was just in his own thing, doing his own deal. But then he dated a lot of girls. It's hilarious. Like, all his, you see him through high school, and you're just like, what is this? What is this going to be? Like, is this who he's going to marry? And then when he started dating Mary Kate, we just knew she's just the sweetest thing, just perfect for him, and laughs at all his jokes, and they're just great together.
Now she can keep him out of the Crocs now. That's her job.
That's her job. Although he sent us a picture in the Croc store today, like in our family group text, he sent us a picture in the Croc store, like he was getting sucked back in.
He's not letting them go.
No, he can't let them go. No, he loves them.
Okay, so Korie, does 2016 hold anything exciting for you? We're at the beginning, January. We just started the year. Are you like a goal setter?
Well, we have a lot going on, but one exciting thing that we're doing is we are doing a tour for Sadie's Live Original. We did one event in Nashville, and it was just phenomenal. We had like 42. We sold out 4,200 young people, and it's not just Sadie. It's Sadie's book. It's based on kind of like the inspiration was her Live Original book, but it's not just about her. Like, is all the cousins. So it's her, John Luke and Mary Kate, Reed and his girlfriend Brighton, Cole, who's like the single guy in the group, and then and so it's them as a group putting on this tour that is just young people speaking to young people about the problems that they're going through. So it's like 18-year-olds talking to 18 and 13-year-olds, like, here's what we've been through. We know what you're in, and we know where you are in your life. And so they're talking about like Live Original in your school and your communities and your relationships. So we did this one event, and it was just phenomenal. And so we are actually going to tour it next fall. So everyone's going to take like a semester off of school, off of college and everything, and we're going to travel the country in buses. And
okay, that sounds like a lot of fun.
I know. I'm so excited. It's going to be fun. And I'm just going to be a mom and just like travel and do it with them. And I think we're going to pull the younger ones out of school and just homeschool them for that semester while we travel the country.
That is so fun. You'll be like a traveling little... I don't know what to even call you. Like, y'all are just in the bus, the family.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
that's next fall. So that's kind of a big thing we have coming up. But then other than that, it's just, we got a lot of good things. We're actually going to do our, so we do a race every year, a NASCAR race in Texas called the Duck Commander 500. But this year the whole entire platform is going to be called Drive Adoption. So we're going to use that race, yes, to do some really cool things to, encourage families to adopt, empower families, connect them with people who can help them if they're interested in adoption, all that. So
that's so wonderful. Where does that race take place?
It's in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And it's called let me think. It's Texas Motor Speedway.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it is. Yeah. And we've done it the last 2 years, and we just kind of been, we've gotten corporate sponsors and all that, and it's been great and fun. But we were like, how can we make this more important than just a race?
I love
and
that.
really came up with the tagline of Drive Adoption. And we actually, this is a crazy story, but we actually met our little boy that we are adopting at the race last year.
Are you serious?
That's where we first met him.
It was just a random meet encounter?
No, we had we found out about him a few weeks before, and we said, how about we meet up there, and just kind of like, so we just went back to our room and met him, and then he came to live with us like 2 weeks later.
Okay, can I ask the question that everyone's thinking right now is, y'all aren't just, I mean, you know this, you're not just like Willie and Korie that live on First Avenue in a normal, you know what I mean? Like, you have a TV show, you have this brand, you have this, all this kind of thing, and God is like using that for his glory and all these kind of things. Is that awkward for like a 13-year-old to walk into that? Or is a 13-year-old just kind of like, doesn't even cross their mind?
I think, it's funny, like when we've been out, because we haven't really, he hasn't been in the press and all that, so nobody really knows him. We just wanted to give him time, to adjust, because it can be a little crazy. But he's so cute. Like when we're at the airport, when someone comes up and takes our picture, he's like, I'm their new son, So he's like loving it.
Yeah,
and so I think he's adjusted. It's amazing. You look at kids and you're like,
they're so resilient.
You're like, I can't even imagine at 12, like joining an entire new family and all that. So, the times that have been a little tough, you are like how, I can't even imagine how incredibly he's doing to just join a new family. I can imagine any of our children doing that at 12,
Mm-hmm.
So, he's done great.
I think that would be so hilarious. I'm like, I'm the new son.
That's what he does. That's it. He like dumps in the picture. I'm the new son.
It's so funny. Oh, that's so wonderful. Okay. Well, when that race comes up, I want to hear more about it. And if I can do anything to help on the podcast or anything, let me know.
Okay, definitely.
Okay. So I always ask my guests 2 questions: what you're reading and 3 things you're loving. So, Korie, what are you reading these days?
What I'm reading is, I've been reading like a lot of nonfiction, and so I was like, I need to. Sometimes I just you got to go back and read something fiction, and so I started reading All the Light We Cannot See.
I've heard so much good stuff about that.
Really good, but it's heavy, so it's not like, oh, let's just take like a little summer reading.
Yeah.
It's about the Holocaust, but it's a beautiful book. It's so beautifully written, and it's good. So I'm in the middle of that, and I have like on my nightstand next. Imagine Heaven. Willie's been reading it, and he's like been obsessed with it. And Willie's not a big reader, so I'm gonna read. It's about like encounters with people who
died.
Like, I've read several books like that, and I love those type of books. But he's like, this one's really, really good. So that's next.
Good to know.
And
what are you loving these days?
What am I loving these days?
What are 3 things that you're like, I have to text my best girlfriend and tell her about this because she must know about this?
Okay, one is like the sweater poncho kind of thing that's going on right now. I wear it. I have one that I wear like every other day.
Because it can be anything.
It's like a blanket. It's like wearing a blanket in public. Every time I travel, I wear it. And I actually had a lady in the airport try to take it. She was like, where can I get that? And I was like, well, because we have a store. So I was like, duckandjustin.com. She's like, can I just have that one? For real, in the airport.
Wait, you didn't know her? It's not like your best friend from college?
Working in the store. She was working in the store at the airport. And I felt bad about it later because I didn't give it to her. But I was like, I'm about to get on a plane. I need my sweater.
I need my blanket on the plane.
I need my blanket. Yeah, it's like, you can go order one yourself. But so I love that thing. It's like wearing a blanket in public.
It's like I have these little Tom's booties. I don't know, they were like a couple years ago, but it's all fleece on the inside. And I wear them every day. And people are like, they're so cute. And I'm like, I really wear them because it feels like I'm wearing slippers all day long.
Yeah, that's my other thing. I have them on right now. But mine are my Uggs. And they have like soles on the bottom so you can wear them in public.
That's all we need. Slippers in public.
Right. So Ugg slippers. And the other thing would be Adele radio on Pandora.
Ooh.
I'm forgot how much I loved Adele till her new song came out. And so we have like a speaker system through our house, which I love because I can play music all the time. And it's been stuck on Adele. When it's not Christmas music right now, of course, we're doing a lot of that too. Mm-hmm. But Adele radio is my new favorite.
My daughter told me an Adele joke the other day. You want to hear it?
Yes.
I'm sure we can all figure it out because I got the punchline before she said it. But she said, "Why did Adele cross the road?"
Oh, shoot.
She said to say hello to the other side.
I was like, okay, it's got to be something with hello.
I know.
Okay. That's a good one.
She was really good. Okay, while I'm on a joke kick, I don't know why I feel the need to tell you all these, but my son said this to me last night. He said, "Mom, let me get it right. He said, I must ask you a question, but I'm going to shave it for later."
That's cute.
Kids are so cute.
I've heard that one too. That's a cute one.
Okay, so I love your things. They're all comfy and like homey, and you just want to like stay in your sweater and your slippers and listen to music.
That's right. And wrap presents this time of year.
That sounds like the life. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so one last thing. Speaking of presents, this is coming out in January, but we just had Christmas. Do y'all do Christmas at your house? Well, or do you go?
So my family, most of the family, and the Robertsons are all in the same town. So we kind of like bounce around to different places. We have like Christmas brunch at my grandmother's, Christmas Eve at my mom's, Christmas morning at mine, and then Christmas night at Bill and Kay's. It's a whole thing.
It is a whole thing.
And Christmas cookie decorating at my aunt's.
The whole
somewhere
thing.
in there. Yeah. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. But at first, like thinking about it, I get a little like, maybe we should just go to the Bahamas.
I'm with you on that one. Let's all go someplace.
Yeah, exactly. But then after we do it, it's so much fun. Our kids just love every bit of the tradition. We're actually going to Guatemala this Friday. We're going to do a boot drop and deliver boots to kids, rain boots to kids in Guatemala. So we're doing that, but we're coming back in time for all the
Okay, so quick trip.
Traditions. Yeah.
Quick trip. Okay, awesome. I think I saw those rain boots the other day. Are these the one that Sadie is talking about?
Yes.
What are they called?
Roma.
And
I just love the family behind this and their mission. He was a Romanian refugee, like political refugee. When his family came over when he was 8 years old, they have 12 kids. And he just is just really godly man, godly family. And he was working at Nordstrom's and just had this concept to do rain boots, and it's a buy one, give one. Mm-hmm. So every rain boot you buy. So Sadie's line has already sold like 4,000, so she is going to give away 4,000 rain boots to kids.
That is so amazing.
So her line, and they've been in business for 5 years, and they've already delivered boots to over 20 countries. It's just incredible. I just love to hear stories like that, and we love to partner with people like that. So.
For sure. I really wish I would have known about this about 2 months ago when I bought my very first pair of rain boots. I would have bought these.
Oh, no. Well, your second pair of rain boots.
My second pair of rain boots will have to be from them. Korie, thank you so much for taking the time.
It's been so fun talking to you.
It is so fun. I'm so glad we finally got to meet since we have mutual friends. And
are you in Austin?
I'm in Austin.
Okay, next time I'm there, we have to meet up.
Yes, next time you're here, meet up, and Jen and I will take you to all the great Austin places.
That sounds great.
Because we have I know people are so tired of hearing me talk about it. We have amazing food here, so.
I'm in. I love that.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to tell everyone about your book, too, Strong and Kind, and I'll put links to everything we talked about in the show notes, and just a great show today, so thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to me. This was fun.
Guys, wasn't that a fun chat with Korie? I have to admit, I've only been nervous talking to 2 guests, and she was one of them. I was a little bit nervous, but you know what? This is what I realized. She's just a regular mom, just like us, raising her kids, doing her thing, and loving Jesus like the rest of us. I loved her passion for adoption, and specifically older child adoption. If you're interested in adoption, I have lots of personal stories, plus other friend stories on adoption over my webpage, jamieivey.com. I encourage you to go there, browse around, click the adoption tab, and just go to town reading. As usual, any books that we talked about are going to be on jamieivey.com/thehappyhourbooks, because I want you to get all the books you can to read this year. Guys, before we finish, I want to remind you guys to make sure that you're subscribed to the show on iTunes. Getting subscribed means that you don't miss anything. Literally, every new show automatically gets sent to your podcast listening app, whatever that might be. And trust me, you want to subscribe, because we're in the early stages of cooking up some exciting new things for the show. go to jamieivey.com/iTunes. It takes you straight to my show page, and all you have to do is click that little bitty button that says subscribe, and you're in. If you want any information about what we talked about, check out jamieivey.com. I'd love to hear from you. Find me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and share something with me that you loved about this show. Today's show was edited by Knox McCoy, and the music is from Jason Poe. Next week, my guest is Rachel Hollis, and Rachel and I are now friends. I say that about all of the people I interview, whether they want to be or not, we're now friends. So she's my friend, and I'm a huge Rachel fan now. She's the creator and mastermind behind the online community, The Chic Site, which I highly encourage you to check out before next week. You can find her at thechicsite.com. Guys, enjoy your week, share the show with a girlfriend, and have a happy hour with a friend. I'll see you guys next week.